Hi, scholars. Welcome back. We were working on our DCF notes before I got sick, so I'm just going to record this for us and hope you enjoy it. So remember, DCF is about discounted cash flow. That means we're valuing any cash flow that has a series or a stream attached to it. It's not a single cash flow like we were working with in the previous chapter with time value of money. So as a quick reminder, I don't think this is easy. I think it's good to start with your definitions, see the big picture here of all of our present value equations. I know we kind of muddied this up a little, but if you see the first three, we can actually use our financial calculator for. However, for the next three, we are going to be using a formula due to G and due to the fact that we have infinite number of periods for the perpetuities. So page 5 was all your present value equations. Page 6 are all your future value equations. So in the previous lectures, we've actually used the equation on each problem. So we've done one of each example already, both formula as well as financial calculator approach. Now, the thing that's going to change for us is no longer thinking in terms of years, but rather thinking in terms of periods when discounting these cash flows. So when we have periods other than 1 year, we still can rely on that main framework. That valuation is about timing, risk, and magnitude. So that will still guide us. In terms of timing, now we're just going to measure periods instead of years. So all the way up through n periods. So imagine like a monthly car loan, for example. We would now just be measuring time in months. And if you are making monthly payments, you have a payment per month. So, and then time in months, payment in months, and then your discount rate in order to be consistent also needs to be a rate per month. So when you purchase a car loan, this is the value of the car today that you could drive off the lot with. And then your annuity, your fixed and your finite cash flows are here. Now, the key word to look for in questions like this is you're dealing with months. So as soon as you see monthly payment, three things actually need to be consistent. And those are the rate, the payment, also per month, and n number of months. So three things need to be consistent. If I pull up our financial calculator here, we're focused on this row. N number of periods, IY, your rate per period, PV, your present value, EMT, your annuity payment per period. So this is the part that's fixed and finite. And then future value. Now with a car loan, the future value is 0. There's two ways you could think of that. First way to think of it is we are just going to find the amount of the payment that exactly equals the present value of the car. The other way to think of it is you're going to pay off that loan balance down to 0. So there is no future value in that case. We just want to find a stream of cash flows that are fixed and finite that exactly equate to our present value of a car. So here's a checklist. Be consistent with time, payments, and rates. It's a mistake we all make. Measure T or N as periods. Measure C or payment as a payment per period, rate per period, and G growth per period. I will always give you interest rates annually for two reasons. One, you see lenders quoting this by law. Two, it's just convention in finance when we talk about interest rates to deal with APR. So you will need to convert that APR that's given to you into a rate per period. So for example, if I give you a 12% APR with monthly compounding, when you do valuation, you'll need to take this 12 over 12 months. Will come to 1% per period or per month in this instance. So just be careful with the units and let's just get to practice. We see this a lot. The reason we're talking about this is a lot of firms, even in personal finance, we take on debt to get what we want. So when we're funding our assets, we have liabilities and equity. A huge portion of the funding will come from the liability side. So you'll see this even in your own personal finance. You'll see the mortgages, car loans, and student loans. They are typically annuities. So those are fixed payments, finite time. They're amortized over the life of the loan. You are given an APR, annual percentage rate, and monthly payments. All right, let's start with this. Suppose you deposit $50 per month starting next month. And this is the key word that we have an ordinary annuity. Now remember, starting next month is the same thing as the end of this month. And we go on for 35 years. So we have 35 years times 12 months per year gives us 420 months. So the reason I know I need to deal with months is I'm getting the payment $50 per month. So anytime you see this a month or per month, and it's for a finite amount of time, you're dealing with an ordinary annuity. This is starting next month, which is the end of this month. So if we were to use our formula, our future value at 420, it's 420 since the payments are occurring monthly. And we have an APR of 9 based on monthly compounding. So we take our 9% over 12. That's our rate per month. That's our periodic rate. Time, also measured in months, your 35 times 12. And your payment is also per month. So on this side, all three are consistent. And we need to focus, if we're trying to do this on our financial calculator, that time, your rate, and your payment are also measured monthly. So when I do this, and I've made a lot of mistakes on this. So what's helped me is to actually write out all 5 variables. I fill them out and I'm careful with my units so I don't repeat mistakes I've made. So this is 35 times 12. That is 420. Now, unlike the formula, your financial calculator, if you type in 9 divided by 12, it will know that that's a rate. So you don't need to enter this. You just have to enter 9. And your present value is 0 in this case. Now, again, the way to think of that is you just are depositing $50 per month. You have no starting balance here. So you're just concerned about the future value of these. There's nothing right here. So I'm going to set that equal to 0. I like to type in 4 variables and compute for my missing one. And my payment is month. So I double check. These 3 are consistent. So let's go. 420N, 9 divided by 12. Make sure you press equals here is 0.75. 0 is our PV, 50 is our payment. And then at the top here, we press compute for the one we didn't fill out. And that's our future value. So we can ignore this negative now. Had you set the payments equal to negative, the future value would have come out positive. And notice, we get the same thing as we would in a formulaic approach. So it's not right to think of your calculator as magical. It is just math. And often we find it useful because it can do the math a lot faster than us, but also it's more convenient if we're solving for rate or if we're solving with time, which can be a little bit difficult when we're using the formula. All right, let's move on to another example. You want to buy a new car and the dealership is willing to allow you to make monthly payments. So in my mind, as I read this question, I have to be very concerned here to be careful with monthly payments. And right off the bat, I need to focus on time, rate, and payment. All 3 of these need to be consistent. And by that, I mean they're all on months. So my time is measured in months. My rate must be a rate per month, and my payment will come out as some payment per month. So the car costs $26,000. I know this is my present value because right now I want to buy a new car. So when I go onto the lot, that's the value of the car that I want to drive off the lot with. So $26,000 becomes my present value. The loan period is for 5 years, but we need to adjust that because we have 5 times 12 is 60. And it looks like I have a little typo here. So let's just cross this out as 5 times 12 is 60 months. 60 months. And my rate is 8. Now, again, it doesn't say, but you assume everything I give you here will be APRs, 8% APR with monthly compounding. So I just take 8 divided by 12 as my rate. And no future value. So again, all of these payments will exactly equate to my present value all the way through 60 months. All of these payments today will equal my present value. So the other way to think of that is there's no additional lump sum that you need to pay at the end of the loan period. You've paid the loan off to a zero balance. So now we take 60 months, 60, and then N for time, number of periods. 8 divided by 12 equals, that's your rate per month, 26,000. Whoops, got a little greedy there. There's backspace right there. And that's your present value. 0 is your future value. And then compute your payment. It's just the way you could think of this is if you receive this value of this car today, but then you are making these payments later. But if you had entered present value as negative, the payment will come out positive. We're just going to ignore that by hitting this plus minus on the side, the bottom. So we see our payment is $527.19 per month, and that allows you to buy a $26,000 car today. All right, there's an article at the back of this that I wanted to pull through. So suppose you're reading this article about loan discrimination, and the interest rate in the example was, it says 8% for car loan. But what is found is Toyota, I think, was the one in this article in particular, was in a lawsuit for loan discrimination, and the amount is not small. And it is not just one company that has been caught doing this terrible behavior. I've included an article here so you can get a little bit more background on what's happening. But here's where I'm pulling the data. The issue here is your otherwise comparable borrowers are being charged more, and it's an unfair practice. So I want to show you exactly how they came to a number like this. Why is 22 million going on in this article? And what's really scary about this is it's not just a one-time instance. This is happening across numerous lenders, and it's happened a lot, and it's happened for decades. So I want to just draw this to your attention. When you enter the industry, I want you to keep in mind of this issue. I know you could be the one that helps fix this issue. So let's take a look at it. Read the article, now assume the interest rate. So let's go back here. This is the same one. This example we just worked through. 60 months. All I'm going to do is change this one here. Let me clean this up for us. So this is still 60 months. 60 months. All I'm going to change is my interest rate. And so you say, okay, let's do that. So here, all we do is we're going to change this to 8.27. That was the number quoted in the article, 8.827, 8.27, divided by 12. That's my new rate. Still 60 months. Present value, the car is still the same. No future value. We're going to compute our payment. So now you're charging certain clients a monthly payment that is higher. Maybe you look at this and you say, oh, that's not much. Well, the problem is, it is. It's unfair. It's the same car. It's just a different borrower. So now you're saying it's $3 less than $3 a month or so. Well, this is happening 60 months. So if we multiply this by 60, that is the total that they are not paying right over here. See this number. And if I want to save that number, I can go store 1 and then I'll stay in there. Now, if I take the other rate, initially, this is what we had. So if you compute this payment times 60, that's the total paid for this car. The difference of these minus recall 1, 200. Now, that's for each per borrower. It says the article, I think 100,000 people were negatively impacted by this. So maybe that was my assumption here. Maybe it wasn't given. It says if 100,000 people were impacted with higher rates, how much damage was caused? And this is our damage. So we're just going to take this and multiply it by 100,000. There's your 20. There's your 20 million. $20 million in damage created by unfair loan practices. Very scary example. Don't underestimate it just by looking at numbers here and then moving on. This is scary. This is very, very scary. And I wanted to highlight that. You see this a lot in news. It continues to happen. And like I said, the reason I like to call this out is I hope eventually some of my students are going to be the ones that help correct this for everybody. All right, let's take a look at a monthly mortgage example. You've closed on a new home. You have a 30-year, $300,000 mortgage with a contract rate of 6%. And what is your monthly payment? This is a very typical question, and it's not specified, but this is actually an ordinary annuity. The vast majority that we're going to deal with are ordinary annuities. So these are fixed and finite cash flows that begin at the end of the period. So let's take a look. N number of periods is 360. My rate is 6, but I need to adjust this for monthly. This is an APR quoted here. Lenders will quote you an APR. So 6 is your APR divided by 12. I know it's 12 because I'm dealing with monthly payments. Present value, that's the value of my home. 300,000. My payment is what I'm going to look for. And my future value is 0. I'm going to pay off this loan balance. The other way to think of that is these 360 payments over the next 360 months will exactly equate to my present value. All right, let's take a go. And one more check here. Time is in months. My rate is per month. And my payment will then come out in per month. So I know I'm consistent. So that is a good check. So 360 and then 6 divided by 12 equals your IY. 300,000 is your PV. There is no future value. We're going to pay the loan off to 0 and then compute your payment. I'm just going to focus on this. You could think of this as you have an inflow of 300,000. You get the value of a $300,000 house, but then the next 360 months, you need to make this payment as a cash outflow. I'm going to drop that negative just so I can see the number a little better. And that's our answer. Store 1. I'm going to save it because the next several problems are going to use this. So our payment in this case comes out to 1,798.65. And as per month. What is the remaining balance after you make 1 year's worth of payments? Now, this is a pretty tricky question. Anytime I get to a question like this, it seems pretty tricky. I like to actually outline what's going on here. And again, I think of all valuation in terms of timing, risk, and magnitude. So here's my time on top. And I'm saying I've made these payments already. After 12 payments, that's 1 year, 1 year's worth of payments. I'm measuring this in time because that corresponds consistently with the months. So that's 12 months. This is 1 year, 12 months, 1 year right there. So one way to think of this, if you discount this whole loan, just set aside this for a moment. If we discount all of these future payments to today at this relevant discount rate on a monthly basis, the present value will be 300,000. So you could think of that as you're taking out the interest component on these payments. Every payment is made up of a part of principal that goes to pay off the original balance and then a part that is interest. So when you discount these, you are left with just the principal. So if we take the remaining 348 payments, there's 348 here, and we compute their present value at time 12, That's the balance we still owe. We call that principal. That's what we still owe on the loan. So all the variables can stay the same except for time. Now we take 360 minus the 12 payments we've already made. That's equal to 348 months remaining. And this is still the same, the 6/12. That's still a rate per month. We're going to solve for a new present value. In our payment, we're going to leave there. It is still the same, and we're still going to pay this off to 0. All those variables are still in here. So all I need to do is take my 340 remaining months and compute their present value. That's the principal I still owe after my first 12 payments. This is $296,315.96. Notice as I go through this, I'm not rounding my intermediate calculations, especially when you're dealing with large numbers in terms of time and then rates. It's important that you're careful not to adjust any of those. Okay, that's a pretty challenging question there in terms of thinking through this. But just remember, each payment has a portion that goes towards interest and a portion that goes towards principal. When you discount those payments to the present, you are taking away the interest component of those payments and you're left with just the principal. All right, how much did you pay in your first year? Well, we made 12 payments, right? So there's 12 payments, 12 months times our payment, which was $1798.65 per month, which will give us a total dollar amount. So if I clear out here and I go back and I compute that payment, there it is, drop to negative so I can see it, times 12 months is we paid $21,583.82. And how much was interest and how much was principal? So this was principal and interest. Now, we know the original balance was $300,000. And after 12 months, our principal is $296,315.96. So our change in principal, if we go back up to this equation before, I kind of skipped over it, but we're going to apply this. And it's based on this idea that your payments have a portion that pays off the original balance called principal and a portion that is interest. So your initial payments are composed primarily of interest, and your later payments have a larger majority contributing towards your principal component. So your interest paid are your total payments less your change in principal. And to calculate your change in principal, you could take ending minus beginning. And just be careful with this negative because it does distribute through. So let's take the difference, ending minus beginning here of our change in principal. So we have 296 from up here. 296, 315.96. That's our ending minus our beginning of 300. Now, if your brain's pretty excited about doing this math, maybe you notice this is not a super large number compared to the one we just calculated of 21,000, but let's try to compute. PV, I still have that, minus my 300 equals negative, but we're subtracting this. So here, remember that had a negative in front of it. So there we go. Our change in principal, we reduced it, right? 36,000. So this is 3,600. $3,684.04. So that is our change. And this is a little delta. It's nerd for change in principal. So every payment, and these are our total payments. Our total payments are right here. Every payment is part principal and part interest. There's no fees in here. So there's principal and interest. And here, principal and interest is equal to, this was our total principal and interest. Now, if we do reduce this by a change in principal, we'll be left with the interest. Okay, so let's put that negative back in there and combine it with our 21, 583, 82, and we see 17,899. $78 is an interest. So, like I was mentioning before, your early payments are primarily principal. Your early payments are primarily interest. Your later payments in the loan are primarily principal. Over the life of the loan, how much is paid? Well, your total payments equal. Let's scroll back up. Take a look. Your interest paid is equal to your total payments minus your change in principal. What are our total payments? Well, our total payments are 360 months of a payment per month of $1798.65 per month. So that's your total payments minus your change in principal. In this case, our change in principal is 300,000. We go from zero. We go from 300,000 to zero. We pay this loan balance off in its entirety. So this piece, total payments minus your interest here, equals minus your principal. I'm so sorry. I'm still getting over my say. Minus your change in principal of 300,000 is your interest paid. All right, so here we go. Let's compute that, get that payment back, drop to negative times 360. This is your total principal and interest. This is principal and interest minus your principal. You're left with interest minus your 300 is 347,000 by 14.50. So here you see that the value of the home was initially 300,000, and these interest rates aren't too far off of where we are now. A 6% interest rate on a mortgage here in 2023 is still relevant. Unfortunately, when we do this exercise, I always get a student say, "Oh, that's really bad." Well, that is not good or bad necessarily. It's just a matter of understanding it and knowing how and when to use it and when it's appropriate. So that is beneficial in the sense that it does allow you to leverage. And leverage is not good or bad. It can be dangerous. It can be beneficial. A lot of my students, if they were like me at least, did take out some debt to attend college. And it's not saying that that's bad. It's just saying be careful with it. You're investing in yourself. In this case, we've invested in a home that we want to appreciate. So this will pay out if the home brings you satisfaction, joy, and makes you more productive. Just like when you're attending college, if you're paying off your student loans, just make sure while you're in college, you're doing a few things. You're finding a major that you're passionate about, that you're interested in. You're finding a major that has demand, that hopefully has some industry growth associated with it. But if you like it, you're going to work hard at it, and you're working hard during class, then the idea is you leave college more knowledgeable, more productive, or better connected than when you came in. Now, if you leave college the same way, then that can be quite damaging, and then you will have a student loan crisis that you see about. I want to just double click into some of this through an amortization table. Now, maybe this word sounds familiar from your accounting days, but this is an amortization table on the loan we just looked at. This is your $300,000 house. that we just purchased. It was a 30-year, which we said was equivalent to 360 months. And we took this rate. This was our 6% over 12 with monthly payments. So this was our ordinary annuity, fixed and finite payments. So let's take a look. What I've done is I've just shown you the first 3 months, the middle 3 months, and then the last 3 months on this to get a better picture of how does a loan actually work. Well, we took out a balance of 300,000, right? That's the initial value of the home. If we fast forward, we're going to work our way all the way down to that future value of 0. We're going to make all these payments 360 times. They'll exactly cover the present value of the home. So here's that portion. It's nice to see this annuity here. It's fixed cash flow. They're all 1798.65, right? Fixed cash flow. They're all 1798.65 and finite. They'll eventually stop. They have some ending time. They're not perpetuities. So let's double click into this payment. You can see what I was mentioning before. Each payment is comprised of interest and principal. So in your first payment of 1798, you can see most of it is interest. 1,500 of it, in fact, is interest, and 298 is principal. The principal is what pays off the loan balance month by month. So it's a very little portion of that first interest payment. So 300,000 minus your 298 means after your first payment, you still owe 299,701, and that becomes the balance for the next month. So where does 1,500 come from? Well, this 1,500, your initial balance was 300,000. So this is what's going to accrue interest every month. 300,000 times spot 06. Now, when you're using percentages in a formula, you do have to move the decimal. Over 12 is your 1,500. So all I did there was I took my 300,000 beginning balance times my 6% APR divided by 12 months per year. That's 1 month's worth of interest there. That's where I got my 1,500. So 1,500, if my total payments are 1,798, that must mean interest is the remaining, principal, sorry, is the remaining 296.65. So you keep looking down here all the way to your last one. Your last payment, still 1,798, but the vast majority of it here, of its contribution, is going to pay off that principal balance. Now, let's take a look. Sometimes maybe you hold a party. You say, hey, I'm halfway through my mortgage. Let's hold a party. Well, I don't think you're going to be inviting me to this party because I'm going to point out the fact that, yeah, time, you still have 180. Or 180 there, you still have 180 to go. Halfway through, by the time you're done with that one, look what you still owe. You still owe more than 2/3 of the initial balance. 2/3 of that initial balance is still owed. Right? You see why I'm not invited to these parties. That's just one of the reasons, I'm sure. Now, maybe you like to visualize this. What I did is I took these first 3 payments, the middle 3 payments, and the last 3 payments, and I put this in this graph for us. Notice they're all fixed, same height, 1798.65. Your interest here is in this reddish color. Notice that even halfway through, still most of the payment is going towards your interest, and then towards the end, more and more is principal. So I'm not trying to make an argument here that that is bad or that is wrong. It's just nice to know what's going behind the mathematics of it all. And I think it can help us make better decisions about when is it okay to use debt, when is it dangerous, just understanding how it behaves and what it is. Again, here's all of the payments now. You can start to see they're all fixed up here at this amount of payment. And here's 360 right out here. And here's the beginning. Here's your first one. Vast majority of it, as we saw before, is interest. And maybe perhaps This is like our class a little bit in that early on in class, maybe we have the most interest, and then as it progresses, it perhaps just goes down to here. That's my only amortization joke I have, but hopefully you found some of this a little bit interesting. Find a lot of us will end up eventually taking out any kind of car loan or mortgage loan. Understanding a little bit of the dynamics are quite helpful. We unfortunately also see this applied in terms of discrimination. So I wanted to throw this in here just to bring it to your awareness. I do believe that my students have tremendous ability to impact the world around them, and if they could focus their energy on kind of correcting things like this, I think that's going to be a much better world that we're going to get to live in together. So I hope you read this, and I hope you found some of this interesting. What I'm going to do in another video is work through some of these problems again. We went through this pretty quickly in terms of applying formulas and in terms of applying our financial calculator as well. If you have any questions on this, I would love it if you could send me an email. That helps me identify where I can teach a little bit better. I know this content is certainly not intuitive. I know it's not easy. Like I said, I was encouraged when I read an article when Charlie was talking to Howard Marks, and he said it's not supposed to be easy. I've struggled through some of these before. So if there's anything you think I can do to help you, please let me know. It would help me a lot. I will explain them again in a different way, but don't be shy. I don't mind going through this. If you can't tell, I get quite a bit of joy of working through these problems with you. So I hope I get to see you on Monday. Becoming much better every day. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, please feel free to email me and or just send me a message. Take care, everybody.